Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my word of the day is grapple. Yes, it's grapple. And the definition I chose is engage in a close fight or struggle without weapons. In other words, you're wrestling or tussling or you're grappling, trying to handle something, trying to get your arm around something, trying to get your hands on something. And the first story comes to you from the Washington Post, and I guess it is the big news of the day. And my subtitle for this is Grappler, Gaffer, or Soul Healer. And I'm talking about none other than Uncle Joe Biden, baby. If you hadn't heard, Biden is in. Yes, sir. Biden is the 20th person, I think, to officially enter the race. Washington Post, former Vice President Joe Biden jumps into the White House race. And that title really doesn't do it. Joe's in, man. Hallelujah. The white version of Obama. I mean, he is in, man. The Democratic Party is saved. The country is saved, man. I'm not going to play it, but go back if you want to look at something that'll make you just kind of go, huh? Maybe make you chuckle, maybe make you sad. I don't know if it's going to make you excited if you're a Democratic voter, because first, before Biden and the Trump big showdown, Biden's got just a little bit of work to do, doesn't he? I mean, I think he's got to actually win something he's never done. He's got to do something he's never done, and that's win a Democratic primary. So I'm not sure why he thinks, given all the different factors that are happening now, why now is Joe Biden's time. I heard Mika Brzezinski this morning. She said, now is Biden's time. I'm like, time for what? Like, to take a Geritol milkshake? I mean, what exactly is Joe Biden's time? The guy's going to be it's like 76 now, I think. And I'm not getting into ageism, but how is it his time? I mean, to me, Biden is running out of time. I mean, I hate to say it because I'm like 58, pushing 59. And my mom is she'll be 98 next month. After you're about 70, aren't you basically running out of time to a certain extent? I mean, I hope to live a good, long life, and I wish Joe no ill, but it's his time. Back to the article, Billy Bob tells me. In case you haven't met my psychic sidekick, this is Billy Bob Bass. He keeps me straight on a daily basis, along with my buddy Jay in the back, who is working the boards. More about him later, by the way. I got a surprise for him.
What?
I got a surprise for you coming out later. If I remember it, because it might not be your time or my time. I might lose that thought maybe. So I planted the seed, and I may just forget about it. Who knows? But Billy Bob keeps me straight. He has a Twitter following, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1. Mine is at John Martin Talks. And we need to step up our game probably on Twitter as well. But former Vice President Joe Biden opened his third campaign for presidency. It's his time on Thursday. Efforts that have spread over 32 years. Now, keep in mind, the dude's actually been in politics for over 50 years, but he's been running for president, I guess, for 32 years, taking direct aim at President Trump and declaring that we are in the battle for the soul of the nation. So this guy, and I agree with we are, but I don't know if Joe Biden is the soul healer. Now, in this video posted on social media, Biden recounted the deadly clash between white supremacists and counter-protesters at the 2017 gathering in Charlottesville. Now, keep in mind, Biden was initially supposed to do his opening bid, so according to sources, his opening statements in Charlottesville, but they told him, the Charlottesville people basically, from what I understand, told him, we don't really want you to do that. We don't want you here. But we're trying to heal, soul healer. Soul healer! Looks like more of a soul stealer. Does he look like he's trying to heal those women's soul, or maybe suck something out of them? It looks more like the soul sucker than the soul healer. But anyway, his gathering in Charlottesville, what happened in Charlottesville, after which Trump said, of course, that some very fine people on both sides. And if you look at Biden's video, he's got the marchers, the wannabe Nazis marching with their tiki torches, man. I mean, where they get, that's something they get the Nazis, man. They're so well equipped. They went to like Home Depot or some craft store and bought these.
Oh my God, the Nazis are coming.
The Nazis.
Oh, it's a tiki torch party. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Jay. Maybe you can help me with this. I've been trying to think about this. Other than the Nazi thing that happened here at UF in our hometown, where like 20 of them actually showed up, or like in D.C. a while back, when about less than that even showed up, and they had to be saved from Antifa, basically, because there's like hundreds of Antifa. I just don't, where's this big Nazi movement? Now, they put out a big face on media at this Charlottesville, but are they like a growing movement? I mean, when is the last neighborhood that had Nazis marching with tiki torches? I think they've pretty well dropped that. I don't know. You believe like the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is in hot water itself, they said there's only like a couple thousand KKK official people all throughout the entire nation. I don't know what the actual Nazi membership is.
I actually used to know someone in the KKK.
Yeah. Well,
and they're out of it now because they met a black conservative and they're like, oh, okay then.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing, and we're going to talk about it more in a story later, but it's just amazing how, we can take one or two idiots and give them the light that somehow they represent a ton of people. And they just don't. They just, on either side, really. I mean, really and truly, in fairness to both sides, they're good people on both sides. In fairness to it, you can't say that one or two yahoos necessarily represent the entire Democrat or the entire Republican Party. The only difference I really see, and maybe my audience, maybe you could chime in on deplorables for Trump or deplorable resistance or citizens for Trump, and let me know. I just don't see that. I guess the difference is the Democrats kind of embrace their wackadoodles. And they don't ever, but the Republicans go out of the way to say, hey, we're not that. They even told that Nazi dude that was running in Chicago that had no chance to win, by the way. The Republican Party in Illinois came out specifically against that dude. But you don't see them. I mean, you can say anything wacky in the Democratic Party, and apparently it's okay. But let me back to this statement about Charlottesville and some very fine people on both sides of the aisle. Because Joe said he was trouble. He basically made the case in his video that that's the reason why I guess it's his time to run, because of Trump being this big racist and everything else. But think about this, Joe. I hate to tell you this, but that's a lie. President Trump didn't say that there were good people on both sides of the Nazis and the Antifa. He was talking very specifically about the people that were on both sides of the issue of whether Confederate statues and monuments should be taken down or left up. And that President Trump was speaking to that specifically, that there were good people on both sides of that issue. He was not talking about the Nazis nor the Antifa, which said there aren't any good people on both sides of that issue, because the one people are wannabe Nazis and the other people are so ashamed of what they're doing they don't want their mama to know, so they wear masks. So there are no good people on that issue at all. But Joe Biden is coming, and this is the thing, he knows that. Joe Biden knows that that is a lie. Yet he is launching his campaign on a lie. Now, yes, a young woman was tragically killed in that, and it was by another yahoo that may or may not have been a Nazi, but he panicked, it looked to me like, and ran trying to get the hell out of there with his car, which he shouldn't have been in, and killed an innocent young lady that was there either observing or possibly protesting. So I'm not downplaying that at all, but there was not this like monumental clash where people were like, like the Game of Thrones and all of that, or where people just lying around dead. It's just crazy. He's building his entire campaign on a lie. But Biden went on to say in his video, he said, talking about Charlottesville, and when the president said that there's good people on both sides, he said, in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had seen in our lifetime. The core values of this nation, our standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that has made America America, is at stake, he says. Man, he is putting a lot of gravitas to this, right? That's why today I am announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. Let me just ask you, Joe. So what you're saying in this video, the picture you're portraying is that our nation, the great nation that is the United States of America, this experiment that I talk about every day here, that I'm battling ignorance and apathy. It's hard to battle your level of ignorance. And it's really, you make my job really hard. But let's just assume, for the sake, and you know what they say about assuming, let's assume that you're right, Joe, that our nation is more racist than ever, that we are more divided than we have ever been, which on its face is total nonsense, let alone BS. But let's just assume that, Joe, you're right, man. You're right, that our nation needs a soul healer. Well, hadn't you been a part of that for 50 friggin' years? 50 years, Joe. So you're saying that you, who have run for president now, going on your third time, who have been a senator since you quit your first job as first mate on the Ark, or was it pallbearer for Methuselah? I get it confused, since he hadn't even had a job, by the way, except being, in politics. He's kind of like Bernie Sanders and that. But you, sir, have been, and vice president, a literally heartbeat away, as they say, from the presidency for 8 years. And I guess, thank God, Obama survived, because I don't know if we could have survived Joe Biden. We have survived Mr. Obama, but I don't know about Joe. But anyway, so you've been a part of this solution, so to speak. You've had the opportunity to solve this problem, and you haven't been able to do it. In fact, by your own admission, it has gotten worse since you've been there. But now, in spite of all of that, it's your time. It's your time. It's crazy, man. He'll fit right in with the rest of the jackasses on jackasses that is now the Democratic 2020 field. He might be the head jackass. I don't know, because it's pure fantasy. What he is saying is a total fantasy, which, in order to support progressives, you have to believe in fantasy. You literally have to be about the Game of Thrones or Harry Potter or something like that, man, because their entire argument is fantasy. It's not based on facts. So it's a fantasy. If you actually were to win, which I seriously doubt, it may be a nightmare. But, Joe, there is good news. In the spirit of healing, and I got this from Billy Bob. He kind of reminded me of it, because I was feeling, as you could tell, kind of fired up. But in the spirit of healing, and if you haven't listened to our show before, first of all, welcome, and you need to be listening. But here at JMT, man, we're always trying to help. I'm just trying to help. And so I've come up with an idea for Joe, and I think we have a picture of it, and I call it a grope-a-dope, because I said before that Bernie Sanders and him ought to team up, and their slogan should be, one of us surely will survive, because they're both old white dudes. But in this case, you could solve your white dude problem and your reach to the young people across the generational divide, and you could join with AOC, Ocasio-Cortez. I know she's too young, but for the purposes of this, it works. I'm taking, so what do they call it? Creative liberty or something like that. I'm proposing the grope-a-dope. Joe Biden and Ocasio-Cortez. 2020. They cannot lose, man. All right, we're going to move on. We'll cover Joe maybe as his rollout today happens. We may talk about it a little bit on tomorrow's show. We'll see how it all plays out. My next article comes to you from the Washington Post, man. Fantasy Grapple is my subtitle for this. House Democrats grapple with how to respond to Trump's refusal to cooperate with investigations. House Democrats are grappling with how to respond to President Trump's blanket resistance to cooperating with their investigations. Defiance that legal experts, now who the hell are these anonymous sources are legal experts say, is it like Lanny Davis? Is he like a legal expert? Legal experts say could upend the nation's fundamental principle are checks and balances. So I'm wondering how How, sir, and this is the chairman of one of the committees, the House Oversight Committee, Mr. Cummings, Elijah Cummings. He's coming. Look at, he's a true Democrat. Look how happy he is. The happiness, the party of Joe Biden.
Hold on, I'll find the one where he's sitting on the floor pouting.
But let me ask you how. How is Trump circumventing their investigation? Trump fully cooperated with Special Counsel Mueller. He not only did he fully cooperate with him, but he did not exercise his privilege or his right to, quote, executive privilege, which I can't believe he didn't. And I guess I can, because Trump has been pretty transparent, contrary to the media narrative. Trump has just said, he rants and raves a little bit. Yeah, he does. Probably a little bit like me. I guess we got something in common. He's got like Cheeto hair and I got like a red face. Maybe we're like, brothers of a different mother. I don't know. But in reality, I can't hold Mr. Trump, man. I can't. He is the man. But Trump fully cooperated with the special counsel. He didn't exercise executive privilege when he could. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, you know why these people are so upset? Because they don't like the outcome of the Mueller investigation. These Democrats, they don't like the outcome. The Democrats cannot stand something that they don't like. If they don't like it, it can't be real. It has to be a fan. It can't be true. It can't be. Get over it, okay? They can't get over it. Think about it. They're still hung up on the fact that Donald Trump committed the worst crime in the history of presidential politics. He won. And they can't get over it, man. Hillary Clinton can't get over it. She's still talking about it. If Trump should have been indicted, any other person would have been indicted. And all that's why I say Trump, Trump, do that old gal a favor. Do that old gal Hillary Clinton a favor and make her ambassador to Libya right now and give her the same level. Tell her, like I give you a quick story. I had a guy who was very liberal in this town. I'll let him remain anonymous. He came up to me a few years ago. He's running for political office here. And he said, man, I really need your support. And I had run for political office as well. And sometime I won, sometime I didn't. But I turned to him and I said, I tell you what, I'm going to go back and check my records, and whatever you donated to me, I'm going to double it. I tell you right now, I'm going to double it. And he looked at me because he knew for a fact he hadn't given me squat. So anyway, that's the thing they ought to do with Hillary. Make her ambassador to Libya and say, ma'am, I assure you that we will give you the same level of protection that you gave the people when they were under your charge. I make you that promise. We'll give you at least that level of protection. But Trump he cooperated. They just cannot get over it. House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings, Democrat from Maryland, announced plans on Tuesday to hold one of Trump administration official who defied subpoena in contempt of Congress and has threatened a second with the same punishment. So he's like, we're going to punish you. We're going to punish you. It's unclear how they actually are going to do it. But I guess it's punishment. Man, how much more punishment could it be than just have to face some of these people and just look at them, let alone talk to them? He failed to show for Thursday's deposition, and with Trump promising to bar all former and current aides from testifying, the House began confronting the possibility of issuing multiple contempt citations and initiating civil litigation to defend the oversight role. Now, I could tell you what I think of this, and I will, but before I do, I think we ought to hear directly from the president. Do we have that?
The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit.
I don't get tired of hearing that because it's so true. It's absolutely true. The entire investigation that they're trying to do in the Congress, the Democrats, is, I can't label it any better, it's ridiculous bullshit. This is a massive, Cummings said, this is a massive, unprecedented, and growing pattern of obstruction. Obstruction. They always say in a statement on Wednesday, obstruction. I hate to tell you this, sir, but the only obstruction is you and your ilk. You are the obstruction. You are obstructing us from getting over this and moving on. Because believe me, the country is ready to move on. Even Democrats are ready to move on. They're just putting on a show, man. but obstruction. You are the obstruction. More on that in a moment. Yet Democratic leaders have also been just as adamant that their investigations of the president not overshadow their legislative agenda. So they're trying to balance a tightrope here between, Russia, and Trump, and their agenda, which they view as vital to holding the House majority in 2020. And it probably is vital to holding that. But it got me to ask, they're protecting their agenda. What exactly is their agenda? Because I really haven't heard it articulated like in a clear way. What I've been hearing, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, and I admit, like Fonzie, I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But this is what I have, as a person who is paying attention, who is listening very closely. This is what I hear their agenda is. And these are my words. Open border and a welfare state. That's what they are. They're for like open border, let everybody come in and somebody's going to pay. Somebody did something, they came in here and you going to pay. I mean, that seems it. Their agenda is for murderers, rapists, and terrorists. Oh my. I mean, they're becoming the party of illegal immigrants and murderers, rapists, and terrorists. They want them to actually vote. They want people, keep in mind, the Democratic Party is now the people running for 2020. They literally want people who have killed voters to be able to vote. I mean, whew. And they want to reform, I guess, educational reform, Common Core math, because they're getting into grammar and everything else. Because now, and we talked about this yesterday, go back to my podcast, John Martin Talks, and check it out. You go directly to my Facebook, like it, and share it with others. You can see it there. You can see it on my YouTube channel. And soon, probably, I've started a Gab account. I haven't actually really got it going live yet, but I will soon, and there's a lot more coming down the pipeline, so just be excited. I'm certainly excited. But the Common Core math, man, I didn't realize this until I started talking about it yesterday. Do you know that I thought it was only 26 letters in the alphabet, but apparently in the United States, according to Facebook, there are 50 different sexual descriptions. I'm assuming they're using some type of alphabets, or maybe it's a sign or something. And in UK now, there's over 70 of them on Facebook. I still don't know why they get more than we do. I don't agree with it, but I don't like that. The fact that they get more than what we buy. We ought to start right now. We demand equality. We want at least 70 sexual descriptions on Facebook. Why should and I'm not against the UK having it, but why should they have more than we got? I don't know. But so the alphabet, it just increases. It's an alphabet soup. And here's something we hadn't talked about in a while. The Democratic Party is for endless war. They want perpetual war. They don't want to pull the troops out from anywhere. I guess they're channeling their inner John McCain. More about him in a moment as well. But they want troops. We got to have troops everywhere. America's interests are vital to be every single where. And I say last, but certainly not least, kill the baby. They got to kill that baby. We talked about, I kind of broke this yesterday, to who has killed more, assuming that people are born, like Butt Get says, that people are basically, that his God, take it up with his God, that he's gay. So in other words, God made people gay. I'm not saying he did or he didn't. But if true, then who's killing more gay people besides the Muslims? Abortionists, right? They're killing people who are preordained to be gay. So kill the baby, make them comfortable. I don't know, man. What is their agenda? It is absolutely insane, but it's theirs, not mine. In that sense, back to the article, in that sense, Trump's non-cooperation stance has created a conundrum for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She should be stirring a pot. I don't know about a conundrum, but Democrats have long worried about appearing overzealous in their probes of the president. How can you be more overzealous than like Maxine Warner? Impeach 45! Impeach 45! I mean, overzealous? Impeach the MFer. I mean, good Lord, they're worried about being overzealous. Somebody did something somewhere. I mean, whoo! I'm on a roll today, man. But I don't know.
To me, I say raise hell.
Now she's, I think, in defense of Ilhan Omar, she is quiet. Now she's probably more dangerous because them quiet ones, they like the serial killers. He was always such a quiet young man. I mean, she's kind of quiet. She's not like Tlaib, who is out there going, impeach that MFer. So anyway, man, your party, Democrats, is like crazy, man. But Trump, however, may leave Democrats no choice but to declare all-out war. That's a term they've been using lately, all-out war on his strategy. If that's true, then old DJT is pretty smart, isn't he? He may be a genius, man. But all-out war, that's a phrase, all-out war. What does all-out war look like? It's like, is that what General Joe Biden is declaring all-out war for the soul of the nation? I mean, so how much crazier can the Democrats be? Because I remember I asked this question leading up to the 2018 midterms. I was like, are the Democrats going to be more or less crazy if they win? Well, I think that's been pretty well answered. They're more crazy. I don't think they can be less crazy. I don't think they can channel it back. I get out there every now and then, but every now and then people like Jay and Billy Bob pull me back a little bit. But the Democrats, what do they do under Trump derangement syndrome? Double down every time, man. I got 22 kings. Yeah, it's got to be an ace there. Double down, baby. I mean, that's how crazy they are. But what's it been so far if it ain't been all-out war? We're fighting all the subpoenas, Trump told reporters Wednesday, blaming politics for their probes. The Democrats are trying to win 2020, and they're not going to win against me. Amen. Certainly not if people like me and the deplorables out there, the dregs of society. So we're like dregs. Me and Billy Bob are dregs. I don't know which one I am. The I'm a proud, deplorable citizens for
You're
Trump.
a dreg. I'm a deplorable.
I'm a drag. I think I like the drag because I really like Bob Marley. I'm not looking to smoke a joint with Kamala Harris or anything. Been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I accepted that my dad wasn't too proud of me, and I did something about it. She might ought to listen to her daddy, but that's another story. But Trump, man, he is on a roll, right? But what is Trump supposed to do? Here's the thing. He's supposed to act presidential. He's supposed to, be quiet and all. I mean, is Trump supposed to just roll over and take it from these people? Is he supposed to just go gerbil up, man? I don't think so. I don't think so. Trump is not that guy. I got a couple of things. Trump is still your president, and he ain't going to take it lying down. Let me tell you. If you think so, you're just wrong. Trump's comments came a day after the Treasury Department ignored a House Ways and Means Committee deadline for Trump's tax returns. I've been telling you all along, but if I say it, I guess it bears repeating. Trump's tax returns aren't that complicated. I can tell you exactly what they say. At the end of the day, the conclusion, compared to your delusion, is make as much money as you possibly can and pay as little damn taxes to the federal government as you possibly can. End of story. That's it, man. Trump's admitted that. Now, I don't know what else you're going to find. You're going to find the Moscow Project. And the White House moved to prevent an administration official from showing up, subpoenaed testimony on security clearances. I love how they're worried about security clearances. How many of the people who are on the Senate Intelligence, let alone the House Intelligence Committee, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think about it, House Intelligence Committee as if they had any. But how many of them could actually pass a background check? I mean, I wish, here's a radical idea. You're worried about security clearances. How about making everybody who runs for Congress pass a security clearance before they get up there and are privy to all of our nation's secrets? How about that? I doubt any of them would even let alone be able to comply with it. Trump officials also announced that they would bar former White House counsel Donald McGahn, a central witness on potential obstruction by Trump, from testifying before the House Judiciary Committee about the president's demand that he move to fire special counsel Robert Mueller. Well, first of a couple of things. First of all, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. As far as I know, let's just assume that breaking in a store is a crime. Okay, I know it's not in Dallas, Texas now, as long as it's essential. But what if I said, I bet I could break in that store. Guess what? That may be immoral, unethical. It ain't no crime. Now, if I threaten to kill you, that might be. But if I say, I probably ought to hold up that liquor store over there, that's not a crime. It's not a crime to openly say something like that. It's not. I hate to tell you. It's just not. Now, Mueller was not fired. So if President Trump, even if true what he said, that he'd like to see this guy fired, and hey, why don't you go fire the guy? First of all, McGahn can't fire the guy anyway, and Trump knows that. But Mueller not only was not fired, Trump didn't take executive privilege that he could have, and he let the Mueller case play out. They just don't like the outcome, man. They just don't like the outcome. And as far as obstruction, he fired Comey, which was his right to do. So there is no, how can you obstruct a crime that did not commit? How can you charge somebody with a crime that never actually happened? You're not supposed to be able to do that. I know the Democrats want to do that, like they did with Kavanaugh, but that's another story. Separately, Trump's private sector attorneys have filed a lawsuit against the Oversight Committee and Trump's own accounting firm after the panel subpoenaed his financial records. So they're always trying to get Trump's financial records. You want to know why? Let me tell you why. There are two reasons, in a way three, say two and a half reasons why. First and foremost, they just want to destroy Trump any way they possibly can. They can't accept that he won, so they want to destroy Trump. Secondly, they want to make sure that they destroy or dissuade anyone from helping the president push forward the MAGA agenda. So they want to make it rough on as many people as possible. And third, and maybe the most important thing, they want to make sure that even if Trump is successful in 2020, that a person like him never rises again. That a private sector person never rise up and say, you know, I think I might run for president, because they don't want that. Because they don't want any outsider, any swamp drainer, which is what the president is, and why we elected him, not unwittingly, but wittingly so. They don't want anyone to ever rise again. Now, could another Trump ever rise again? Probably not, no matter what, because if he gets knocked down, I think the system, the swamp, is overwhelming and takes us over. But that's just, you know, I'm optimistic because I believe President is going to win, with all of our help, by the way. Representative Gerald E. Connolly, Democrat of Virginia, a member of the Oversight Committee, said Trump's moves are triggering a constitutional crisis. It's a manufactured crisis, if anything. The real crisis, is on the border, but they don't want to. I mean, they want to. It's a crisis. It's a crisis, but they don't actually want to address anything, let alone a constitutional crisis. They don't know how to spell the Constitution. They just want to get rid of it. And he argued that the White House posture shouldn't concern Democrats, but just concern Democrats, but Republicans as well. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. The House, he said, should revisit the idea of instructing the sergeant at arms to find and jail those who defy subpoenas until they relent, a step Congress hasn't taken since 1970? No. Since 1870. So much for progressives, so much for moving forward, so much that they want to return back to the days when Congress was jailing people arbitrarily. So it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. I want to take my time, check my time. I got enough to finish this story up good. So Democrats expressed optimism that they will win on the merits of their issues. What the hell are them? I mean, what's their agenda? What merit is in their agenda? Merits of their issues. Head to the courts, because they want to head to the courts. But Trump's strategy creates political pitfalls and the prospect of delays in the legal systems. Now, they've come up, and you can read this article yourself. I didn't want to go through all of it. But there's all kind of little things and rule changes they've done to try to hamstring the president. They didn't think about this. They didn't have a preordained conclusion. But just in case, like that insurance policy, Nancy Pelosi, when she took over as Speaker, changed a lot of little rules and regulations about committees and votes and everything. Just in case the Mueller report, that was their insurance policy, didn't, prove what they knew it was going to. But just in case. But they don't have any preordained conclusions. I report, you decide, so to speak. But the rule of law. The question always keeps coming up, the rule of law. The Democrats don't believe in the rule of law. They believe in guilt before innocence, that you have to prove you're innocent, that you're guilty. Think about the Kavanaugh hearing. Think about the Mueller report, all this stuff. Trump's guilty. All these people are guilty. Turns out they weren't. But hey, now we got to move on and come up. It's our duty to investigate. But you know why the Dems love the court so much? I've said this before, but if I say it bears repeating. I haven't said it in a while. But you know why the Democrats love the courts and why they were so worried about Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court and why they fought so hard. I mean, obviously Roe versus Wade was a big issue, but in general, the Democrats know, and this is why they are for felons and rapists and murderers and terrorists and illegal immigrants, all these people to vote, because they know that the American people that elected that man right now, right there, Donald Trump, and are likely to elect him again, that those people, the voters, by the way, they cannot trust them. They cannot trust you, even if you're a Democrat. They cannot trust you, so they have to pack the courts because their legislative agenda, the agenda I just spelled out to you a few minutes, they know the American people would never go for it. So you think about all the major accomplishments, whether you're for it, against it, or whatever. Let's just use gay marriage, for instance. And I'm not trying to take a position on it one way or another. I mean, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but, but I'll give you an example. Every state, gay marriage pretty much went up. The states voted against it. But the Democrats took it to court and prevailed. So that's just one example. They couldn't win with the court of public opinion by the vote, so they took it to the court. And you could just put that across everything. There's multiple examples of it. But the Democrats love the courts because they know they can't pass their agenda legislatively, at least not right now, until they fundamentally change America, which is what they are trying to do. It's up to you and me whether they're actually successful, because the president's going to do his job. He's doing his job. The question is, are we going to do ours? The Age said Trump's defiance will force them to prioritize which cases are the strongest. Age to these Congress people, these Democrats. Which is the most critical. That was a topic of discussion at the House Counsel. Aides conferred Wednesday and considered how to respond to the Trump administration's refusal to comply with subpoenas. Remember, whatever happened to protect the Mueller report? Remember how for the last, we got to protect the Mueller report, and then it's like, we got to ignore the Mueller report. We got to, it's conspiracy, man. I got a radical idea for the Democrats when it comes to a multitude of issues. Why don't you just try acceptance? Accept the reality of what happened. Accept the fact that the American people, even if they were wrong, you used to have a right to be wrong. I don't think they were in this case, but the American people, within the system and framework we have, voted for Donald Trump to be president. Get over it. I don't have a problem with trying to beat him. I tried to beat presidents. Sometimes I was on the right side. Sometimes I was on the losing side. It just depends. That's our system, by the way. Why not accept our system and just put your best shot out there and let the people decide? I mean, put me down as for the people. The voters, you out there. And I'll accept it. I may not like it, but I'll accept it. But that's a radical idea, I realize, but that's something maybe ought to grapple with, acceptance. All right, we're going to move on to our next story here, and this comes to you from Politico. As I say, sometimes I read these publications, so you don't have to. It's part of my public service to you. My subtitle is Grappling With or Grabbing the Crotch of Truth. Are you grappling it or are you grabbing it? And this is Mueller report. It's Politico. Mueller fails to detonate for endangered Republicans. What they're trying to say here is that Republicans hadn't gone batshit crazy with the Mueller report and come out with the pitchforks and torches and marched on the White House demanding Trump's head. They've basically, even some never-Trumpers, with a couple exceptions we'll talk about, have come behind the president or at least not openly attacked him. The Mueller report is no-access Hollywood tape, according to the Politico. It'd be more interesting if it was, maybe, because the Mueller report is kind of boring when you really look at it, because it basically says it and nothing to see here. Move on. While the 2016 bombshell, talking about this Hollywood tape, bombshell sent Republicans sprinting away from the then candidate Donald Trump, special counsel Robert Mueller's explosive findings that the president may have committed obstruction of justice is causing a far more muted reaction among Republicans. Explosive findings. Please tell me what was explosive finding in the Mueller report. I mean, I've read pretty much the whole thing now. What is explosive about it, other than the fact that it wasn't even explosive because we already knew what was in it based on all the leaks that have come out between the press and the Mueller report, that there was no collusion. It was, as the president said, a delusion. So there can't be obstruction of a delusion. It's like, I'm obstructing your view from that mirage. You know, you're marching, you're dying. It's like the Democrats are like in the desert, man, and they're dying of thirst, and there's like a mirage out there, and they're going, I'm trying to get to it. And I get in front of them and go, it's nothing to see here. You're marching toward a mirage. I'm obstructing your view of the mirage. That's all Trump basically did. He was an innocent man, but obstruction. You know who's obstructing this? People like Elijah Cummings. People like old Shifty Shift that we posted up there later. People like Jerry Nadler. You know, people like that. They're the ones obstructing. They've got an obstruction. And you know what they really need? They need the laxative of truth. That's what they need. Maybe old Captain Whitebread could rise up, and I've got the torch of truth I talked about last week, but maybe we need to have the laxative of truth. I could be like the candy man, just passing it out right here. Here's some laxative truth to help you with your obstruction so you can actually move on and get over it. But I doubt they would. They could probably take it and it still wouldn't have any effect on them, right? But not even, according to this article, not even the most vulnerable Republicans who have pledged to support Trump have abandoned the president. And there is no sign any will. But I mean, I tell you, and I know there's some people out there, some friends of mine that aren't going to like to hear this. So I'm taking a break here just to calm down and say it real specific. Trump is the Republican Party. He just is. I mean, all you got to look at the rank and file people. They're behind him in like the 90 percentile right now. It's very rare that any candidate or any president get that high even within their own party. You go to any of these, I mean, the excitement is in the Trump clubs, for instance. I'm sure it's in my state. I'm sure it's this way all over the country. You look at, like, if you go to the Republican Party of Florida, and I'm a state committee man, I represent us there at that. It's all about President Trump. There is I know there are never Trumpers out there, but I can tell you within the Republican Party apparatus, if you want to call that apparatus, there is no divisiveness. They're for Trump. They want Trump. The newly elected chairman, Joe Gruters, is a Trump guy. He worked specifically for Trump. The vice chair of the party in Florida, a guy named Christian Ziegler, he is all about Donald Trump. The party in Florida, which I think is pretty representative of the party as a whole, is all about Donald Trump. I mean, they just are. So you never Trumpers, you need to just get over it. And you Democrats out there might as well understand it. Now, it may not be forever this way because nothing lasts forever. But right now, Donald Trump is the absolute leader of the Republican Party. It's not Mitt Romney. Contrary to what you might think, the media. Look, here, back to the article. It says, look, it's clear. This is from Cory Gardner, kind of a never-Trumper, but he's kind of understanding. He's a Republican from Colorado. He's definitely not a big Trump supporter. He says, look, it's clear there were no merit badges earned at the White House for behavior. He said Trump behaved like, so I keep hearing this about Trump's behavior during the Mueller report and all. And of course, Trump is who he is. I mean, he's not going to be this just calm, cool, collective all the time guy. He wears his emotions a little bit on his sleeve, and sometimes sometimes to his detriment, okay? But here's the thing. What was the core of Trump's behavior really? He behaved like an innocent man. Can you imagine? You're supposed to just sit back and take it as they accuse you of being everything but a child of God. As they accuse you, think about this. President Trump, not only is a patriot, but his whole life has been built around his success is an American success story. And the left wants you, and the never-Trumpers want you to believe that this guy is a Manchurian candidate and in the pocket of Vladimir Putin. That's what they want you to believe. So if you've done everything like Trump's done, put your name out there, forget the fact he's president, all his life has been about putting his name out there as an American success story. And now that you've reached the pinnacle of success in the world and becoming the commander-in-chief, which, get over it, he is, they accuse you of everything but a child of God, and you're supposed to just go, I'm at peace with it. No, Trump is saying bullshit. and they can't take it. To me, he acts like an innocent man. That's his behavior.
The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit.
And that also goes, Mr. President, I feel free to speak for you in this, to the never Trumper Republican rhinos as well? Are they going to just keep pushing ridiculous bullshit? Because they push a load of it as well. But Gardner goes on to say, you have to focus on the heart of this conclusion, which is there's no collusion, no cooperation. So at least he's honest. That's where the focus ought to be, and how we prepare for the next election to protect us from Russian intrusion and interference. You know who's doing the bidding of the Russian? Now, they may be doing it unwittingly, is a word they keep throwing these words out. I haven't used that one in a while, but I'll use it. How about that? I'll keep it alive unwittingly. So the Democrats, I give them the benefit of the doubt. They may be unwittingly, but they are absolutely doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin. If you assume that the Russians, and I think it's a fair assumption, that they want to disrupt America in any way possible, who is disrupting America right now in favor of the Russians? Is it Trump? No. Flat out no. That's not just my fact, not an opinionated fact. It's just a fact. The Democrats are causing more divisiveness that stirs up more crap and won't let go of a report that they paid for, by the way, that we paid for, so to speak, because it doesn't fit their narrative. And wittingly or unwittingly, they are doing Vladimir's bidding. They may have been compelled by Vladimir, and certainly Shifty Schiff looks that way, but it's not President Trump. But beyond conceding there are some embarrassing details, Republicans don't feel, this is what the article says, the need to create any news space between them and the president. The desire to stay on Trump's good graces and keep his supporters appears to override any interest in using the episode to appeal to swing voters. Well, we found out, and I haven't actually seen it because I didn't watch the total rollout, but apparently the McCains, I guess it's Cindy McCain, the widow of John McCain, and Meghan McCain, I guess they're the McCains. Apparently they're going to endorse Biden. I wonder if Biden's going to have the sophistication to like roll out one of them like holograms, right? What they do, what was the rapper that got killed? I can't think of his name right now. The one that got shot in Vegas. Yeah, anyway, that rapper that got shot in Vegas, they actually did a little concert with him a while back, and it was just a hologram. Tupac, they did a hologram of him at a concert where he was out there saying, it looked really real. I have to say, it was creepily real. So, but I wonder if they're going to bring on John, is he going to go all Tupac on him and they going to have a hologram of McCain up there? I don't know, man. Anything's possible. But could Supreme Swamp Rat Mitt Romney, can he be far behind? I mean, he's already said he was sickened by the president and all that kind of. It's good. But McCain, there you go. There's McCain from the grave, and he's with old half dead because all white people got to die, right? And Obama's half white, so he's going to be half dead. It'll be Captain Whitebread and his sidekick half dead, man. But how about Bill Weld? Did you see? We talked about old Bill Weld. You go, who? He's announced he's running against Trump in the primary. He came out with an op-ed piece that said Trump should resign if he's a patriot. I got to tell you, man, Mr. Weld, even if Donald Trump were to actually resign, you still wouldn't win. You couldn't win against a cutout picture of Donald Trump. So, hey, do whatever you're going to do. You ain't going to win. I can tell you. I might not be able to predict everything, but I can predict that. Republican operatives working on Senate races say that if House Democrats move to impeach Trump, he will activate conservative voters. In other words, people like, we might actually get pissed off. Imagine that. Not peed on, but pissed off. And if Speaker Nancy Pelosi gets her way and Trump avoids impeachment, then the Mueller report's effect on 2020 politics will likely be underwhelming, they argue. So there's this big debate in the Democratic Party about to impeach or not to impeach. They're grappling. They're grappling with that situation. Make no mistake, they all want to impeach Donald Trump. The only real divisiveness is it in their political best interest? Because I've said before, and I'll say it again, if they honestly believe that Trump is all they claim to be, then they ought to impeach him today. Because if he truly is a Russian agent, then I'm for impeaching him. I just know that that's ridiculous from the beginning, and I've known that the report wasn't going to find anything if it was honest, and apparently it has been. But so they're debating all this. So I say when it comes to this, I thought about this. I think we have maybe a video or sound clip of somebody who's probably saying it more specifically than I can. Can we play that?
Like myself. But Ian, this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Do you? Oh, Clint, man, I'm sad that he's getting. I'm glad he's getting old, but I'm sad that he's getting old at the same time. Because Clint, man, he is special indeed. But do you? I'd ask the Democrats, well, do you feel lucky? Yeah, you want to impeach? You want to impeach 45? Well, go ahead, punk. Make my day. Go ahead. Do you feel lucky? Roll the dice. Because I can tell you right now, the deplorable nation that's out there, the basket of deplorables, the belly of the beast full of all kind of dregs like me and Billy Bob, go ahead. If you want to roll the dice, see what happens. We're going to have a red wave come over your head, and you're going to be not only melting, but you're going to be drowning, baby. So go ahead and make the day, man. Grapple with that. Let me check my time. I got about 10 minutes here. I want to, I'll read this part right here, and then we'll close. So anyway, this is, it says a spokesman for swing state Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina said Tillis believes pursuing the path of endless investigations and impeachment would be a bitterly partisan move that would further divide the country. He's right. And Joni Ernst, Republican of Iowa, that was like cutting pig nuts and going squeal. Remember that? I mean, that's an interesting way to run for office, man. It's almost as interesting as Biden say, I'm the soul healer. I'm a soul healer. I don't know, Biden. I just don't see him pulling it off. Said she doesn't view hearings with Mueller, Miss Ernst, as necessary, and only barely conceded the report paints a brash portrayal of the president. And so I say, not necessary. Joni, you just don't understand. You simply, it is necessary for them. It's the only thing they got. They can't. Do you really believe that the Democrats can run on killing the baby, making the baby comfortable, open borders in a welfare state, on rapists, terrorists, and murderers? Oh my! Can they run on that? Can they run on endless war? Can they run on the fact that the economy is the best that we've seen in really ever? Can they run on that? No. So they got to go after Trump. It's the only thing they got, man. They got to heal. The soul of the nation is at stake, man. But Joni says, we all know how the president is, she told reporters on Capitol Hill Monday. Yes, we do, ma'am. But probably, that sounds like a dig, by the way. But we do. Citizens for Trump, deplorable resistance, people like John Martin Talks, people like on Media Measures and all the different sites we're going on. We get it. You might not get it, but we get it, okay? We absolutely do. Resistance is futile when it comes to us, man. But so anyway, this one, Mitt Romney said he was sickened. The article said he was sickened, man. Sickened about, they cite Mitt Romney as if he spoke for Republicans. Please, Utah, do us all a favor. Do your country a service. Recall that son's a gun right now. Recall him, man. But I got a question for Mitt, man. How do you shave, sir? I mean, he's clean shaven. How in the hell does he do that? Does he get someone else to do it? Because how could he possibly look in the mirror and shave knowing how full of crap he is? I mean, this is a guy, and I haven't said this in a while, but I'll say it for you in case you're just tuning in. You got to look at Romney's history, man. Romney, specifically to Trump, when he ran for president, Romney said and Trump endorsed him, Romney said it was one of the greatest days of his life, and went on to say it was one of the greatest honors he had ever received. Okay? Then he loses, Trump runs, and all of a sudden he makes a speech about how terrible Trump is, that he called him literally everything but a child of God, right? And then lo and behold, President Trump wins, and who comes knocking at his door for a job? That dude right there. Snake in the grass king, swamp rat Romney. He doesn't make it. Then he goes to becoming like never Trumper again, as if he wasn't anything else. And then he decides to run for senator in Utah. It looks like he might be in a little trouble because the party itself, the party apparatus, doesn't want to support him. And all of a sudden he's pro-Trump until he actually wins the nomination, and now he's against Trump once again. This dude is King Swamp Rat. So I ask you again, sir, You can come on the show. You got an open invitation. How do you shave, put any kind of blade near your neck? I don't see how you do it, man.
You have to get past the rat leash.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he pours milk on it and lets the rats lick it off. I don't know. Not the cats, because, cats like rats, so who knows. But, of course, McConnell said that we need to get past this. And, he's old turtlehead, man. He has it's a lot. Think about this. There's a lot to grapple with, or is it? Or is there? I don't think there's a lot to grapple with when it comes to Mueller, impeachment, or Trump. Trump won. Get over it. Accept the fact that the Mueller report came out with the truth, and you just can't accept it. The Democrats just need to accept it and move on. But hey, I say, go ahead, punk. Make my day. Impeach 45. Go ahead. All right, we got a few minutes left, and I got a story here that's just crazy. We've been talking about what's been happening on our college campuses. There's a great source called The College Fix if you want to keep up with that. I use them all the time. But my subtitle of this is Grapple with the Whitey Question or Just Toss Them Out. Just get rid of them. University hosts, this is coming from The College Fix, as I say, university hosts no whites allowed faculty and staff listening sessions to promote inclusivity. Now, we talked about something similar to this on the West Coast. This is already on the East Coast. This is from Wake Forest. Wake Forest University is hosting a series of listening sessions for faculty and staff of color that aim to advance inclusion efforts on campus. So I was a bit confused, I get that way sometimes. And so Billy Bob told me, he said, why don't you look up the word inclusion? And I did. And it's the act of including, the state of being included. The listening sessions come amid ongoing racial tensions on campus, including a protest Monday in which some students decried the white supremacy that allegedly runs rampant at the private North Carolina institution. White supremacy runs rampant. Man, that sounds like a Joe Biden kickoff video, doesn't it? But here, this is from an email from Michelle Gillespie, Dean of the college, to campus employees. Dear faculty and staff colleagues, this is a reminder that our upcoming listening sessions on inclusion that I'm holding for faculty and staff of color over the next several weeks, she wants you to come. She said, here are the upcoming dates and information for faculty staff who identify as faculty. I don't know, what does that mean? You identify as faculty. So can I show up and say, I'm channeling my inner, I'm a black faculty member. That's what I am. I don't even know exactly how to get to Wake Forest.
That's how students are going to give themselves A's.
Yeah.
I identify as faculty. I'm grading this paper.
Can we put a picture of Miss Gillespie up just for the point? I think we got a picture of her because I'm confused. Man, I thought sure she'd be a woman of color. I mean, I'm a man of color. I'm a red face, right? I'm going fishing this weekend probably, by the way. But what is it with you have black on black crime? And we don't talk about it enough. But what about white on white hate, man? It's just Joe Biden's campaign is, I hate white people as much as you do. I mean, that's basically what he said today. And he's going to be on an apology tour of like, I'm sorry for the votes I took back then. I'm sorry for this and that. I mean, what is it with white on white hate, man? I don't get it. But we're going to close with this part right here. As for the campus protest, the Winston-Salem Journal reported that the coalition of students, faculty, and staff at Wake Forest University demanded Monday that university officials immediately begin a zero-tolerance policy for white supremacy. Now, zero-tolerance policy. Where is white supremacy tolerated, by the way? Where is it tolerated? I don't see any evidence of that whatsoever. Now, they cite a couple examples. Please read the article. I'm about to run out of time, but I'll read the articles. They talk about, build that somebody put on like Instagram that you need to build a wall between Wake Forest and this predominantly black college that's close by. It turns out that was just a parody. They talk about some professors that went to Wake Forest, and when they were in Wake Forest as students, they had blackface on, and now they're professors. I want to bet you they're Democrats, man. So, white supremacy. To me, it's the idiots being idiots party. Who's running on that ticket, by the way? Sounds like the Democrats. But I got a radical idea. Why don't you just ignore these yahoos? Why is it that we have to take the few absolute crazy idiots out there, and there are quite a few of them, and make them actually run the whole show? Like they're the ones we're supposed to be listening to. It's absolutely crazy. Well, I only got about a minute left, and I want to introduce somebody to you. This is my little surprise for you. Jay, take your headphones off. I want the people to see what you really look. Come on, man. Come on out here, man. If I can stand before the cameras, you can too.
All right, I'm coming out here.
Because I want the people to see my good friend Jay here.
Yeah.
He is a student at UF Law School, right?
Yeah.
Going to law school.
Yep.
You citizens for Trump, you deplorable resistance out there, people like that. This is the guy that helped you and me hook up. So I wanted to give him a little credit. I don't do it
I'm
enough.
all red.
Appreciate. Yeah, he's turning. He's
Holy
a man
crap.
of color.
I'm an Indian. I'm a Native American. I was born here.
Maybe you should get some reparations, man. I'll have to talk to the powers that be. But I just wanted y'all to see him. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. He's the one, him and Billy Bob combined to make me look good, and that's not an easy job. Please like and share us. Go directly to our Facebook page, John Martin Talks. Like it and share it with others. We got a lot of things that are going to change here in the not too distant future. I'm hoping all of them will be positive. I'll talk a little bit more about that on tomorrow's show. But above all else, ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed day.